Hello and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here and welcome back to another episode of SpinTires MudRunner. Now in this video, we're going to be checking out a brand new Dodge W250, a 91 W250, which obviously has a massive lift and huge 48-inch super swapper tires. This thing has a lot of upgrades, but it also has a really good sounding Cummins diesel. Let me start it up for you guys. I feel like it's a little quiet, but at the same time, I mean, see, that's the thing about this game. Some of the, there's no real standard volume to everything, so some trucks are quiet, and some trucks are, intensely loud, and the crazy part is when you try to mix, different mods into one game, you'll have some trucks that are screaming, and other trucks that can, barely be heard at all if you try to set up any sort of, centralized volume. So, add-ons wise, you have the, let me go back up, you have the bed rails. You have a standard size crate, which carries 2 garage points. You have a crate pack, which carries 4 garage points, which requires the bed rails in order to be carried because of the strap. You have a small crate, which carries 1 garage point, which I don't know why you'd use that. A fuel barrel, which is 208 liters of fuel. Jerry cans, which is 80 liters, which go kind of right in the back by the tailgate. You have a toolbox, which carries 500 repair points, and you also have a small toolbox, which carries 100 repair points. So you have a really nice list of add-ons with this truck, and I think, personally, it's one of the best looking trucks to come into the game as of lately, because if you look, even look there in the engine bay, you can see the engine. It's actually, properly detailed, and you could really get in there and see the engine. And if you flip the truck over, which is, by the way, not hard to do, you'll see the oil pan as well, which has detail to it. Now, the only thing that I'm iffy about is the suspension setup on this truck, because look at this. Look how easy it is to flip this truck over. Boop! It's not hard to do at all, which, by the way, there's that oil pan, which does look really good. But the weird thing about how easily this truck flips over is, it's weird because it's a really good-looking truck, but performance-wise, it's a little iffy, and you guys will see exactly what I mean by that the further we get into this test. Now, if I, say, for example, hit this little hill right here, the truck, whenever it goes off of jumps, or especially goes around corners, kind of loads up on the outside tires in a really weird way, and it may be a little bit harder to see, or at least a little bit harder to get what I'm saying about it over the video, but at the same time, it's just, it's just so strange to drive. It manages itself in the air very well, it's really good at jumps, but it's not fast enough necessarily to be a good truck for jumping. So it's kind of this weird in-between of everything, because the suspension has this weird bounce to it. It's kind of, see, right there, it'll stay on 2 wheels way longer than it should, and when you land a jump, it just gets really stiff. It does not have enough dampening. And I think because of that, that's where a lot of these weird suspension behaviors come from. And I don't know what the motivation was behind those, but I personally am not a fan of, it's weird. It's like this truck is kind of in the middle of everything. It's like every single aspect of performance, this truck is in the middle of. It's not brilliant at anything. It's kind of in the middle of pretty much whatever. And at the same time, it's not necessarily, though, it's a jack of all trades, because it does a little bit of everything, but not necessarily in the best ways. And it may sound like I'm kind of, ripping into this truck in terms of just criticizing it a bunch, but I'm not. I love this truck. It's a gorgeous truck. It's a very nicely made mod. I just don't like the suspension setup on it, and that's my own personal view. I mean, you may love the suspension setup on it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how I like to play the game, and the trucks I normally like to drive. This kind of drives the absolute opposite of that, and that's, up to you guys to make a decision on what you personally like as far as how trucks handle in this game, and that's why mods exist, right? Because if you don't like one mod, you can go use another mod. So that's the beauty of the mod community, is that you don't necessarily have to use one mod or the other, but it is very easy to flip. It's actually, I think, too easy to flip, and the suspension, when it loads up, gets really, really weird, almost weird to the point where it doesn't really make sense as to how it's handling everything. It's a very soft, absorbent suspension until you get a little bit further, you kind of compress it about halfway, and then it gets unnaturally stiff. It's almost like it feels like it's literally hitting a bump stop. And I don't know if they were trying to simulate that or something, but regardless, it ends up feeling a little weird and a little out of place. Because, like, look, sharp corner and over. So, again, it's kind of, I mean, it's like you can flip this truck over. It's not even a question if you can flip this truck over or not. If you flex it out, for example, as well, it's extremely easy to flip it over. It's like if you go just a little bit too far on a flex ramp, you're over. So, like, here, you're already starting to go over. You're really close. So if I change, let me see if I can change kind of the balance of where the weight is. Okay, so that works. That's about, and see, that's the thing, is that's about maximum, that right there is maximum usable flex for this truck. I mean, even one of the rear tires, the right rear tire is just a little bit off the ground, although it is kind of sinking back down towards the ground. So that's about maximum usable flex. It's about actually a little bit past that. So let's drive it up a little further. And wow, I'm surprised we haven't flipped over yet. And a little bit further. And there it goes. But it's weird. It actually didn't do that well in any of my previous attempts. Like, when I was just, like, trying it out. When I was just trying it out, it like, flipped over halfway up the ramp. So I'm going to try it again to make sure that wasn't, like, a fluke or something. Okay, see, that's what it did. That right there is what it did, like, the first couple times I tried it when I wasn't recording, but, like, when I was just testing out the truck. And, dude, like, it does that, like, pretty much every time. I want to take it on some rocks, in fact, though, and because I like the grip. It does really well in mud, and that's one thing that I cannot fault it for, is its mud performance. It does really well in the mud, and I applaud how well it does in the mud. I really do. I want to try it out on rocks and see if it's any good on rocks, although I can't imagine that it would necessarily be the best rock crawling truck. Never mind. Oh, my God, this thing just flips over at the drop of a freaking hat. Alright, I think I went this way. Yes, I did. Yes. High is about the equivalent of third, but man, like, this thing has probably one of the slowest fourth gears. I mean, it either needs a little bit more power or it needs another gear. Like, see, look, okay, there's no give towards the, it's almost like the gravity is off, if that makes any sense. It's almost like the center of mass of the truck feels like it's kind of in the wrong place, and it feels a little unnatural because you're like, oh yeah, this is going to come back down onto its wheels, and then it doesn't. So it feels kind of unnatural, and I'm not sure if the point was to make it feel top-heavy because, I mean, let's be real. It's a lifted 90s Dodge. It's going to be top-heavy, and I wonder if they were trying to, like, simulate that or what they were necessarily trying to do with that. I personally am not sure, but at the same time, you could kind of, you know, okay, come on. Wow, 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 it flipped over on that. Okay, so it's not a rock crawling truck by any means. Any means. I think, you know, I think what it's probably the best for is putting a crate pack in the back and using that to basically have something that's not a truck and trailer to find your garage. It took a little bit longer to flip it over with the crate pack in the back. I was trying to figure out how long it would take. But yeah, I think it's probably the best use for this truck is probably a scout truck that also has the ability to unlock a garage. I mean, genuinely, that's what this thing feels like it was made for, and that's what it feels like it's best for, really. So I would say that if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for a really good scout truck that can also double as either a repair rig or a garage rig, like a garage unlocking rig, then it's definitely, like, I mean, it's a good truck. It's a really good looking truck. And, like, that's the thing. It's like, quality-wise, it's a great mod. It's a gorgeous mod. And I think that there's just a couple things that make it a little too top-heavy, so it feels a little unnatural when you drive it. But I think overall, I mean, it's a great truck, but you'd have to deal with the top-heaviness. You would also have to deal with kind of like the weird dampening settings, and you'd have to deal with the fact that it is a little slow. So if you guys enjoyed this truck review, don't forget to click that like button. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys thought of it. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more. I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to you guys later.